Hey,
Hey.
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Michael, if you're up watching, my
Ooh.
son in South Carolina.
He never texts me and tell me how good of a job I do.
Really? I'm not so sure he has your phone number. That would probably help out. If you'd like him to start texting you bright and early, he's happy to do
everyone
so.
likes to feel appreciated every once in a while.
I get it. I love that he watches on Twitch, his gaming system.
So I'm going to do some housekeeping right now. So the merch, here we go.
You and I are all hearing this at the same time,
yes,
by the way.
So
first time.
Merch is out, except for the last thing to drop, which was the Try Harder Not to Suck.
That's awesome. I love that.
So a lot of it is sitting Wisconsin, New Orleans. Wow. Some of it, not I'm going to say not a lot of it, is sitting at the post office still. You should have gotten a tracking number, but make sure you check your spam, or make sure you check all your inboxes before you email anyone. Because the whole process is, I know you guys have my email address. The answer for me, and I hate to tell you this, guys, is I don't know. So, everything has to go to Jason. So we are going to give Jason's email today. It's Jason, right? Or Jay Shepard. JSHEPPARD at dreamteamwebdesign.com. JSHEPPARD at dreamteamwebdesign.com.
At shorttermmemorylloss.com.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And if you guys, anybody can email me if you don't see a tracking number. But what we're running into is we ended up having a couple people email yesterday. We ended up tracking their packages, which were sent over 5 days ago, and they're just scanned at the post office. And then we went and did a little more digging on it, and about 16 more were the same way. So we want to be able to call people, call the post office, and do that. So anything you have, just let us know.
I find that we are at the mercy of a system that's run by the government, and that doesn't always work very well. So.
And it's holiday time. I don't want to give them an in and out.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it is holiday time. So
I agree.
It's unfortunate that all this is happening at once.
Well, and emailing me, and I can check my email right now because we're not in the show. Emailing me, just putting a title is about a shirt, the name of the shirt. I don't want to seem ignorant. That means nothing to me. Did you not receive it? Are you waiting? And blue V-necks are not. We don't have them.
We ordered 126 about 2 weeks ago.
So hopefully they'll be in soon.
Yeah. What we're running into is obviously our desire to buy American, and trying to buy American is tricky, and we've suffered through that.
And we are going to have to change on one of them that we're going to be doing.
And so if we have products that we cannot buy American, we're going to put a disclaimer up that says, hey, this product is made in Mexico, or this product is made in Bangladesh. And if you see that, it is because Jason has spent exhaustive hours hunting and pecking, trying to find Brock, excuse me.
Thank you.
I'm not with you guys when you're drinking beers doing this together.
We haven't drank beers.
We're doing this during the show.
Oh, even better. When I'm doing this, you guys are doing that. Anyway, you guys have been marvelously patient.
Yes.
Thank you. We're juggling a lot of different factors, but our goal is to get your stuff to you as soon as possible. Thank you for understanding the limitations of what we're able to do and how.
And for all the people asking about golf shirts.
Can't find women's shirts.
Right. So we're looking at Under Armour, who's, I believe, 80% of their product is made in America. I don't know about shirts just yet.
Yeah.
So, but we will put on there. the American-made company that we have does not offer women's stuff.
Right.
And
Sexist.
And it just doesn't. And
So
people are asking.
Needless to say, we're trying.
Yes.
We're trying. Don't you like how I can cut through Brock's rambling and just sum it all up right there? We're trying.
Well, I'm trying to give them as much so you don't get the onslaught of emails.
I'm sorry.
Of where's my merch? Do you get those?
I get other ones.
Do you forward them to Jason? Oh, you get so do
I. So there's a cross and you're on it, and you should probably get down because the cost to heat your home is going up and you're gonna need that wood.
Well, if I could
that just happened.
Get a decent paycheck, I wouldn't have to worry about heating my house.
Well, now I'll remember that.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America. Happy Tuesday to all of you. You are tuned into the Wendy Bell radio program. Welcome along. Common sense conservatism every single day, Monday through Friday. We give it to you 15 hours a week, and we're just getting started today. So thank you for choosing our program. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. So, it's interesting, the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, I think we can all kind of feel like it's percolating. It's going to happen, hopefully today at some point. And I've spent a lot of time thinking about this particular case, watching it, kind of a satellite view, watching from a distance to see how it's being covered, what people are saying about it. I haven't spent hours and hours pouring into the testimony, getting into the nuance of what happened and what didn't happen. But I have paid close attention to what people are saying about it. And I have a prediction. And in fact, I have a warning. And my warning is for the Democratic Party. Because if this verdict comes down and you don't like it, and you decide to hit the streets and protest and riot and loot and set fires, I will predict right now it will absolutely sink you in the next election coming up in a year and in 2024. More so than I believe anything in recent memory. I believe the way the left manages this verdict will fundamentally shape the future of today's Democratic Party. Why do I say that? On January 6th of this year, I remember flipping on the television and watching, as so many others did. And I flipped around. I went from MSNBC to Fox to ABC and CBS to CNN. And it was uncanny to me. I remember stopping in my tracks and saying, this is way too coordinated. What every single person on every panel watching this demonstration, the insurrection as it would be called later, They're all too coordinated. They're saying the same things, same talking points, same outrage, same incredulity, same rush to judgment on each channel. If you're going to continue on the left beating the dead horse of January 6th, because it is one of the three pillars of your Holy Trinity, if you're going to continue to do that and you're going to hit Kenosha, Wisconsin today or later this week with plans to destroy people's property, your argument about January 6th will go up in smoke. This is not a time to riot. This is not a time to protest violently. This is a time to reflect on what I believe has been a pivotal turning point in the United States. One young man, roughly the age of my sons, one young man in the crosshairs. One young man who so many people decided they could judge without knowing any of the details, without being there on the ground, without feeling the heat of the fires, the arson, without seeing the destruction of private property. So many people in this country have found it incumbent upon themselves to be judge, yes, jury, yes, and executioner. We have members of Congress, ladies and gentlemen, who have said Kyle Rittenhouse should be thrown in prison and the key should be just tossed out the window. We have a president in Joe Biden, who as then candidate Biden in September of last year, called Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist and used his imagery in his anti-MAGA ads for president. We have news anchors who are not lawyers, who were not there, deciding that they know what justice is. And we have played for you a montage of sound of talking heads calling Kyle Rittenhouse some of the most vile names in the book. But this is where we are. Let's not worry about the facts in the case. Let's worry only about its optics. And they tried to make it racial, even though there was nothing racial about it. And then yesterday, I was aghast to see the bumbling prosecutor in the case hold up the AR-15 with his finger on the freaking trigger and aim it at the jury pool. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to be a card-carrying member of the NRA to know that that is outrageous behavior, and it was done on purpose. I have been amazed as a former news anchor, and my forte, if I had one in television, was breaking news. It was sitting on a set, watching live stream video coming into the studio, which was then going out to the people who were watching, and walking them through what I was seeing as they were seeing it too. There's no room for assumption. You're not to presume what you think is going on. You're to describe a scene. And one of my favorite lines to say was, here's what we don't know about this. Here are the questions we still have to ask. You don't hear that anymore, do you? Seems like everybody has all the answers, even though they've spent no time listening to the evidence, or asking a very fundamental question: why? And so, 18 years old, Kyle Rittenhouse, called every ugly name in the book, vilified, tarred and feathered, hated because he supported Donald Trump. And really, since that's part 2 of the Holy Trinity next to the insurrection, he was doomed before he even stepped into that courtroom. But you have to ask yourself, it seems as though the district attorney knew he didn't have a case, or else he would have taken it. What happens in this trial? What happens tonight? And the people calling for an insurrection style response. If that happens, I don't want to hear one more word about January 6th. I don't want to hear one more comment about subpoenas. I don't want to hear one more supposition about what was going on. Because while what happened on January 6th should not have, it is a far cry from what cities across this beautiful country have experienced and have suffered through. While our government, our governors, our law enforcement officers have stood by, hands tied, told not to respond. So pay close attention to what you hear today. The men and women on television who clearly feel as though they're the smartest person in the room, even though they have no idea what a young man felt like on that night in August of 2020. They have absolutely no clue. That won't stop them from judging, from name calling, from finger pointing, blaming. And I dare say, if Kenosha goes up in flames, Democrats, you're done. Because that is not what this country is all about. I had an opportunity to spend some time with Dr. Darren Dubiak yesterday at AIM 360, Advanced Integrative Medical 360. In fact, we're dropping a video tomorrow talking about some expanded services they're really excited about that has everything to do with skincare. I'm not going to get too into it, but I will tell you, I've seen what happens when patients come to Advanced Integrative Medical 360 and they sit down with Dr. Dubiak or a member of his medical staff, and they find that the results of the extensive blood work that is step 1 of your time at AIM 360 to dive into your hormones, your biomarkers, all of the things that go on in your blood that your body responds to. I've watched people respond as pieces of their health puzzle come into focus. It's emotional because that's the first step to getting on track to healing. 412-227-9255. IntegrativeMedical360.com. Get in touch with them. They're in 47 states. You know, when we come back, we're gonna dive into something. I've been hearing Joe Biden talk an awful lot about these 17 Nobel laureates in economics, praising him and his Build Back Better BS. We did a little dive into that. I'm going to whet your palate on that one. Coming up right after this on the Wendy Bell Radio program. All I could hear was my hair scratching on my vest. It was so loud and I was so distracted. I wanted to be like,
So I'm going to put up on the screen where to send your questions for Jason for the merch. Yeah, I was flabbergasted when I saw the guy pull up the gun with his finger on the trigger. Like you said, I'm not a 2A guy. Don't even own a gun. Please don't rob me. And I was just like,
You are a 2A guy.
I'm a 2A guy.
Yeah,
like,
just
I
because
totally
you don't
believe
own
it. Right.
a firearm.
Just was like, my man, even I know. And then you point, okay, I'm around cops and a lot of people that are very strongly 2A that own a lot of guns. And there's two things they tell you. Don't put your finger on the trigger.
Don't aim it at somebody.
And unless you're going to shoot somebody, don't aim the gun at them. And that guy broke both cardinal rules. One and two.
No, I think it was purposeful, though. You know, you put the fear of God in the jury.
And you could tell that guy's in a gun.
And they hyperspace into the victims.
I get that, but
he's gross. This whole thing has been just terrible.
Yeah, Todd, you don't handle firearms like that, and you don't need to be a strong advocate to know that. Yes, that too, Arlene, is make sure there's nothing in the chamber. I had a guy give me his handgun because I wanted to feel it, and he checked the clip. He checked the chamber and took the clip out before he even handed it to me. And started his first words out of his mouth, "Don't point it at anyone." I'm like, there's literally not even a bullet in the gun.
You would think that prosecutor would know not to do anything like that first and foremost. Yeah. Secondarily, right after this Alec Baldwin situation.
Yeah, well,
I mean, insane.
I think this guy knows he's going to lose and lose bad.
I watched it. His closing arguments were dry.
Yeah. I said this before. I just see Ned Flanders. Ever since somebody on Twitter said, "Look at Ned Flanders, the prosecutor." All right, here we go.
Yeah, I was thinking back to the O.J. Simpson trial. I was working as a reporter in St. Louis when that verdict came down. And I think Joe was still in medical school at St. Louis University. This was my husband way back when we had first met. And you could see that if O.J. hadn't gotten off, things would have gone sideways in a hurry, in a big way, and not just in Los Angeles, all across America. At what point is that okay? Why is it okay for somebody to be sitting in the courtroom trying to take pictures of the jury? Why is it okay to believe that you should, as a political activist, intervene to put pressure on jury members to ensure that they vote the way that you want them to vote? I don't understand this lack of morality. I will say this, there are a lot of differences between conservatives and leftists. This is a big one. If a trial didn't go the way I would expect it, or I would hope it to, and quite frankly, I don't know the last time I really had a vested interest in a trial, where I really feel like something pivotal in my life it's so important that I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to have a visceral reaction. I don't know if that's ever happened. Certainly not to the point where I would go out and protest. But this is the new normal. And in fact, it's not that new, because it would have happened back in the 90s. If OJ hadn't been acquitted, oh, for heaven's sakes, our country would be on fire.
It was after the Rodney King.
Yes, it was.
I mean, if that doesn't set the standard of here's what's going to happen if you don't vote guilty.
So we live in this climate now where you have fringe politics dictating justice. Don't worry about motive. Don't worry about facts. Don't worry about prosecutors or defenders being able to do their jobs. Don't worry about anything. Your main focus is getting the verdict that satisfies your political ideology. Look, we've got to move along from politics. It simply cannot permeate every aspect of our lives. I'm astonished how many quote unquote celebrities and members of the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate have decided to weigh in on something that, by the way, does not involve them. Truly, if you think about it. And one can only go back to the very beginning of those August evenings in Kenosha, because that was night 3 that Kyle Rittenhouse decided to go there from his mom's house in Illinois, 21 miles away. If I'm not mistaken, she drove him, not with a firearm in the car, but she drove him to go be where his dad lived, other family members lived, facts that amazingly the drive-by prosecutor didn't take the time to drill down into. Because in his mind, of course, this is about justice. It's not about facts. It's not about fairness. It's about optics. What has happened in this country? Is everybody just so insecure in their own lives that they feel the need to interject themselves into situations that have nothing to do with them? I find that the loudest people, too, are the most pathetic. So pay close attention to the talking heads tonight. The people who are experts, who slop on the makeup and put on the tight dress and the suit and the tie to try to tell you what really happened. They're going to dissect it for you. But you know what nobody will say to you? Here's what we don't know. I have strung together a series of sound bites. And these sound bites are of Joe Biden. And I'm going to play it for you coming up. And I think it's important. Because we know that Joe Biden's crux right now, the one thing that he's got going for him is the bipartisan support for his Build Back Better, his infrastructure, as he moves towards Build Back Better. And he's had a quote many, many times. He screws it up every single time, or at least gets the number wrong every single time. So we decided to edit it down for you and then do kind of a dive. He constantly talks about these Nobel laureates in economics who say the Build Back Better plan, deficit spending to the tune of 1.75 trillion is a great idea. Who are these guys? We're going to tell you. Interesting stuff coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program. You know what would be really refreshing for somebody to say when talking about this? The whole Rittenhouse thing.
Kyle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope it all works out.
Well,
it's going to get
ugly. The thing
that
bothered me off the get-go with this is when people said, what right does he have to be there? What right does if that's your case, what right does the other guy have to be there?
I'm gonna tell you because I'm an expert here.
Right.
He shouldn't have been there. Well, you know what?
Neither should day 3.
Neither should have Gage Crosskreutz or whatever his name is, who was also carrying a firearm and who had a nice laundry list of arrests in his past.
Can I take the merch thing down, guys? Did everybody get Jason's email by now? Okay, good. Just as long as you guys know that I don't want to ignore you, and I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. I forward them to Jason, so I legitimately don't know.
You guys can just give me a bit of time to respond.
And for all you people waiting, you're right. Wendy's absolutely right. Thank you for being patient. And I didn't even get my whole order yet, so it's just not you. I yell at Jason every day, but
Neither have I.
Well, your order was my order. You're welcome. I never even got a thank you from them.
I'll add it to your holiday bonus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You put the listeners and watchers first.
I go home every day and say,
"Where's my merch?"
And Lois, I don't know why you can only watch 2 hours on the app and replay. I'm able to watch all 3 hours. So I can say maybe uninstall the app and reinstall the app or update the app. But I have
I haven't had any problems using it.
No.
So, and
I mean, right now it's just the YouTube rendition of it, so it's there for 3 hours.
Oh, and for you guys who truly like the behind the scenes stuff, Jason will be training. This is how we train in this business. We will be doing a live on my page tomorrow of Jason sitting back here learning. So you'll get to see him screw up.
wow.
Confidence, right?
Yeah, confidence.
Thanks.
But you'll get to see if you're a follower, if you're a friend of mine on Facebook. So we're gonna try that tomorrow. If you
I
truly
have
like to see
great
behind
confidence in you.
I do too. I
wish
do
I
too.
had that myself.
Listen, if this was hard, I don't think I would be doing it. This is not brain surgery. But yeah, we're gonna do a mock show tomorrow where I will be Wendy, and Jason will be me, and I hope you guys that are friends with me, and if you're not and you want to be and you want to see it, friend me today. I will try to. Michelle, I'm sorry I haven't accepted you yet. I get a lot every day, and I don't check my.
You get a lot of what?
Friend requests on Facebook every day. So I will add everybody tonight. But your guys' participation in it helps Jason learn, because he has to learn the stream side of it aside from the radio side of it. So
You know what, Sue? That's really nice of you to say. She says, Wendy Bell merchandise will be under our Christmas tree. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Wait till you see what's coming.
Yes.
My wife's even excited about what's coming.
And by the way, we're making adjustments to make sure we have these things in stock so they're ready to go out. We're learning from this, and so this isn't going to be a long process forever. It's just we didn't expect so many orders, and you guys really just blew us away.
Yes.
So I'm so sorry, but it's because you're awesome.
When we show you something, it will be in stock and ready to go. So when we show you, it will be
I have a frog in my throat.
It will be ready to go. Brock will not be fabulous tomorrow. That is reserved for one person. And she will tell. She never says that about me. I wonder if she'll be watching.
I might watch.
She won't watch.
I'll watch and I'll live comment.
She won't watch. I don't know if I get comments, so I'll have to watch. But
why wouldn't you? You're going to do it on StreamYard.
Right, but for some reason it doesn't work on my account like that. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not allowed to use the Wendy Bell account.
I think anybody with a functioning brain realizes that the solution to rising prices and into inflation, the value of your dollar going down, things being more inconvenient, more expensive, the supply chain debacle, the answer is not spending more money. Ever. So I was very intrigued to hear Joe Biden repeatedly, as he's trying to push his Build Back Better disaster. I mean, $1.75 trillion. If this thing goes through, that's like $6 to $7 trillion spent since COVID began in January of 2020. I mean, think about that. We're paying people not to go work. And I love Jen Psaki and Joe Biden's rationale for why millions of people are leaving the workforce every month. Well, they're going to find other opportunities. This is a great time to be in the job market. No, Jen. No, Joe. People aren't working because you're paying them to stay home. It's so basic. So I want to play for you, if Brock will, I want you to pay close attention. If you're listening on the radio, you're going to hear snippets of Joe Biden basically saying the same thing 4 different times. And what you'll pay attention to is that the number of Nobel laureates in economics, whom allegedly, as he says, are totally down, hook, line, and sinker, with his Build Back Better plan, constantly changes. Go ahead.
You have the significant number of, I forget the number, I think it was close to 60 major economists acknowledging that what's going to happen is you're going to see continued economic growth. I have 17 Nobel laureates in economics sent me a letter recently saying that my proposals would actually reduce inflation, diminish pressure. But here's the point. You had a total of 14, I think it was 14, Nobel laureate economists in economics saying this is going to, what I'm proposing, to reduce the inflation. 17 Nobel laureates spontaneously, Nobel laureates in the economy, sent me a letter 3 weeks ago saying it will also reduce, not increase inflation. They said, and I quote, and this is from 15 Nobel laureates in economics.
I won't tell you how long that took me to put together, but you begin to pay attention. If you listen to what the administration tries to push, and they're so used to us just being drive-by consumers of information, that we're just going to take whatever they tell us, and of course that's what it is, even though you and I know it's BS. So to find him through the course of literally 2 months, go back and forth 5 different times on how many people, how many of these Nobel laureates say this is such a great deal. So we started thinking, who are these people? And I want to read this to you because I think this is important. This is going to be the next push. So we know Biden yesterday signed the infrastructure, whatever. We've got great video of Kamala getting the shaft because she thought she was going to be introducing the president. And in fact, the White House had squeezed her out of the presentation. So she decided to take to the podium anyway and commandeer it. It's so painful. It's so awkward. And yes, of course, we've got that for you. So we've got the infrastructure plan, right? That I fail to see how building roads and bridges, which take years, yes, how that's going to have a palpable impact on what you and your family are getting squeezed for at the store right now. But you're going to hear the administration try to explain that as well. This is the open letter, quote unquote, from Nobel laureates in support of economic recovery agenda, aka Build Back Better. And this is put out by an organization called the Economic Policy Institute. At first blush, you're like, well, I mean, Economic Policy Institute, that sounds important. These people obviously know an awful lot about economic policy. Well, now, this is a progressive think tank molded by Democratic Socialists of America member Lawrence Mitchell. Okay, he's a piece of work. Democratic Socialists. That's the organization that puts out this letter. And it goes like this. The American economy appears set for a robust recovery. I don't know. Can you be more out of touch? The American economy appears set for a robust recovery, in part due to active government interventions over the past year and a half, including President Biden's American Rescue Plan, but reversing years of disinvestment in public goods and addressing the country's long-term needs, including building towards sustainable and inclusive growth and facilitating our clean energy transition, will require more. Do you guys see how this is setting up to be a far left, progressive, globalist bunch of old white dudes? Because this is exactly who these people are. Success in the 21st century will require building upon the bipartisan infrastructure deal that has passed the Senate, which prioritizes investments in our nation's hard infrastructure. The president's Build Back Better agenda employs a broader conception of infrastructure by making critical investments in human capital, which we went over yesterday, by and large eliminates most money to white people and favors everybody who's not white, because that is the human capital under this administration that matters. If you're Black, if you're Hispanic, you matter. While we have different views on the particulars of various economic policies, we believe that key components of this broader agenda are critical, including tax reforms that make our tax system more equitable. Okay, it's called a redistribution of wealth, and that enable our system to raise the additional funds required to facilitate necessary public investments and achieve our collective goals. By the way, this is the epitome of verbal spaghetti. So we decided, and I think now's a good time to roll out the BS board.
Time to cut the crap, because Wendy's breaking out the Ireland Contracting BS board.
Okay, so who are these 17 guys? At some point, Joe thought it was 12, 14, 15, 17. I mean, every day it was a different number, but we've whittled it down. It is 17 Nobel laureates. Who are these people? These are all professors. These are all leftist activist globalists. These are all people connected to the Democrat Party machine. This isn't a bipartisan group of people. This is a group of old white dudes who fundamentally want to transform the economy of this country and want to make it global and want to make government as big and all-powerful as possible. Let's talk about some of these people, shall we? Number 1 of 17 is an economist named George Akerlof, who happens to be Federal Reserve Chairman. Is it Fed Chairman? No, she's the Secretary of the Treasury. Janet Yellen's husband. You know, no conflict there. So this guy, George Akerlof, Janet Yellen's husband, is number 1 on the list. He has championed bank account snooping of your private bank accounts. This is the same guy. Number 2 is a cat named Sir Angus Deaton. And he was named one of Politico's top 2016 in transforming American politics. Politico, if you're unfamiliar, very far left publication. This guy is obviously a far left activist. Peter Diamond, the same guy who was nominated twice by President Obama, who was rejected twice by the Senate for a seat on the Federal Reserve. Democrat much? The fourth, Robert Engel, co-director of the Volatility and Risk Institute at NYU. These are all professors. You know what professors are like. They're not right-wing people by and large. Oliver Hart called Donald Trump back in 2016, called him insane. No conflict there. He, by the way, is a professor at Harvard. There you go. Daniel Kahneman, a Princeton professor. Eric Maskin, he's an advocate of expanded government. Why do you think these guys' economic views align with Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan? It's all here for you. Daniel McFadden, professor at Berkeley. Paul Milgram, professor at Stanford. His ideas are based off of work done by globalist socialist Joseph Stiglitz, who's also on this list. Joseph Stiglitz. Wow, he's a piece of work, ladies and gentlemen. He worked under Clinton. He was the VP of the World Bank for a couple of years. He's worked closely with George Soros. In fact, is president of Soros's globalist group, Initiative for Policy Dialogue. He personally visited Hugo Chavez and he triumphed and championed the Venezuelan government. What? And this guy thinks Build Back Better is good for us? Okay. Roger Myerson. He's an economist who believes in classical liberalism. Nothing wrong there. Edmund Phelps believes the Democrat ticket is better for democracy and for the economy. Okay. Paul Romer, former chief economist for the World Bank, son of former governor of Colorado, Roy Romer. William Sharp, Stanford professor emeritus. Robert Schiller, quoted as saying, "I'm nervous about Trump," back in 2016. Also, Christopher Sims, professor at Princeton. Robert Solow considers himself a liberal Democrat, has served in various capacities at the radical left Federation of American Scientists and the Center for American Progress, which are euphemisms for far left progressive wackoism. I want you to pay close attention to this as well. Look at the ages and the racial components that I have in red here. George Akerlof, 81 years old, white. Sir Angus Deaton, 76, white. I'll just run down the list for you. 81 in white, 79 in white, 73 in white. I'm going to give it to you this way. They're all white. 87, 70, 84, 73, 78, 70, 88, 66, 87. Ladies and gentlemen, the average age of the men on this list is 79. All of them are white. Now, if that's not racist, really, this is what represents the economists who believe in Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that coming up because their connections, wow, nothing to see here. I want to thank Dr. Charles Simkovich and the Simkovich Concussion Institute for being a sponsor of this program. I got to sit down for a couple hours with Dr. Simkovich and talk to him about what it is that he does for people who've suffered traumatic brain injury and concussion, people who feel like their whole lives are scrambled because their head is hurt. And what the Simkovich Concussion Institute does non-surgically is not just heal the symptoms, but it heals the brain. In fact, this revolutionary procedure is so successful. Most patients see relief and real results in less than a week. Pick up the phone, make your appointment. It costs you nothing to sit down with him. 412-366-3700, 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. You know, I am really fascinated by this here. And we're going to talk a little bit more about these men and their real motivations here coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Now, I can do.
So, Wendy has one thing to clean up. Janine, I don't know if Janine's new to the show. She's was raised by a grammar stickler.
Yes.
And she knows you're a grammar stickler.
Yes. And she caught me saying something wrong.
She caught you saying allegedly.
Yes.
And she'd like an explanation. She asked if that's an inside joke.
Yes.
If you considered an inside joke, Janine, to 400,000 people, but could you explain allegedly?
So we know that the word is allegedly, but so much of what has gone on is so preposterous that I say allegedly. So Joe Biden is the alleged president. I think the majority of us who've been paying attention know that's probably not the case. So I call him alleged. Whenever I say alleged, it's basically a joke that it's preposterous. And we all know it. So thank you for catching that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, she emailed me.
Oh, great.
And
it's very purposeful.
You guys are great. Guess how many friend requests I got in 6 minutes?
How many?
Take a guess.
50.
47.
That's outstanding.
6 minutes. So I will. No, I'm not golfing today. I will.
The people who pay attention to this program, I believe, are really active communicators, and I think they like different sources of information. So I'm not at all surprised that you would have 50 people ask to, follow what you do. You guys also asked, I think Friday, we had a caller who had asked if I would do a dive on Congress and their investments in Big Pharma and also payouts from Big Pharma. So in the break, I'm going to be switching out BS boards. And I also want to talk about Piccadilly chimney sweeps at some point. You'll have to tell me when. Because I normally did it right here.
No, you.
Or no?
You do at the bottom, but you didn't. So.
I normally do it I do it in the 9:30.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can do it at 10, or you can talk about the Irelands at 10.
Okay, that's
time.
good. Okay.
Speaking of allegedly,
You're going to not say this now.
Well, then
Which you'll learn
then
tomorrow.
There's that.
Here we go.
So I found this very, trying to find reliable, fact-checkable information about people who this administration just kind of throw around like these men, these Nobel laureates in economics, who, by the way, do not represent America. Remember, this is the administration of inclusion, of equity. We've got the most diverse cabinet. All of the people fit a certain box, except the Nobel laureates who believe that Joe Biden's Build Back Better agenda is good for America. These are all old white dudes. Why is that okay? Aren't there any female economists out there? Aren't there any Hispanic economists out there? Is it preposterous that I should dwell on something as irrelevant as somebody's age or their race or their gender? Of course it is. But we live in illogical, irrational times. I found this article written by the RAIR Foundation, RAIR. And I think this is kind of like an investigative group digging into stuff, economy wise. All right. I'd not heard of them. And they wrote this article regarding and it says this: the goal for these Nobel laureates is not a good economy for America, but to impose a, quote, redistribution of wealth on a global scale. Hello. You do not have a modern Democratic Party anymore. It has been usurped. It has been run over by the progressives. What did you find? Pramila Jayapal is head of the Progressive Caucus, of which
40%.
40% of the Democrats are part of the Progressive Caucus.
I did not know that. That was news to me. I thought it was like 7 or 8.
Look, progressive to me and progressive to them is a totally different ballgame. They're off the charts. Make no mistake about it. So Rare Foundation USA says Joe Biden and his team keep trotting out the same left-wing political operatives, posing as economists to justify the massive Build Back Better socialist spending plan. The Biden administration knows that the complicit mainstream media will not dig too far into the nature of these Nobel laureates and is banking on the ignorance of Americans. Bing, 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 bing. Exactly. That is why what we do is of value. I'll spend 2 hours digging into this because he says the same thing, just screws it up every time. Why? Why are they pushing the same narrative again and again and again? Why? Because it's their talking points. They know they have nothing that's actually building back anything better. It is a power grab, money spree, redistribution of wealth, progressive, socialist, Marxist, you name it, communist plan for America. We need to pay really, really close attention to what our people in Congress do with their votes. This should not hinge on one Senator Joe Manchin. Under no circumstances. And the people who are down with this outrageously ill-timed, bloated spending bill need to be out of office. Period. This is the absolute wrong time. It is always a wrong time to try to turn the United States of America into some socialist republic. So please, when you hear the same thing again and again and again, you know we're hearing it too. We'll dig into it. You can do it too. Connect the dots. I've got some sound coming up for you. Very interesting conversation regarding how do we stop inflation, at least in the short term. Again, we're going to break through the narrative because we all see what the true game here is. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Brock just told me he's going to go to the potty, but I could see him going like this for the last 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can tell your bladder's at capacity. That wasn't a very friendly hand gesture there, Brock. That's going to be docked off of your Christmas bonus. There you go. This is a great opportunity for me to say hello to my friends Gary and Diane Ireland. I talk about Ireland contracting. Yes, they're home exterior experts in renovation. Yes, they do exactly what the board says. They can put on new roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, you name it. They do it, windows and skylights. But it's the people, I think, all of my sponsors, it's the people that I think that make what they do special. And I've told the story about twice having water issues in my house, and Gary Ireland coming to my house, asking for no compensation. And unbeknownst to me, I hear walking on the roof of the house, and it's Gary Ireland cleaning out my gutters and finding, what did he find? 8 balls that my kids had hit or thrown up onto the roof that had rolled down and blocked the gutters so that water was spilling over and seeping into my basement. I said, Gary, you have no idea how grateful I am. What can I pay you? He's like, this is what we do, Wendy. People need help and we come and we help. There's no charge. And it wasn't just for me. He's marvelous. These are special people. So if you have a home exterior repair, if you want to do some renovating, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Ask about their new shingle color, their new roofing color from Owens Corning called Bourbon. It's really something. Very beautiful. Do you feel better, love?
I do. I
Good.
keep hearing about this Christmas bonus.
Maybe that's fake news.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming it's fake news.
You know what? Go ahead.
For the person who asked, the bat behind me, they were asking about the story. A listener, Janet, sent it to me from Louisiana. She was nice enough to have it put up. It has my name on it, and then September 7th, the day we started with more than one station. So someone was very nice.
And I don't know if I do a good enough job every day thanking you guys for what you've done for us. You know, you are very special to all 3 of us. And again, without you, we can't do what we do. So thank you. It matters. I blew it. I was going to do a call segment here, and I blabbered to the end like a moron. So let's punt that to 10:30,
Okay.
And instead, let's go to.
We just want to flip.
You know, I'm going to roll the dice here.
Yes, we can roll. We can still ask for phone calls. Which is something we are going to try to do tomorrow too.
Take calls?
Yes.
You need to, so
Jason can learn that system too.
Sure.
So
I'm
sure you'll be hung up on. I've done that. Well, no, I'm saying I've made that mistake. Yeah, tomorrow. I'm sure at some point you'll get hung up on by Jason. We're gonna really try to treat this. Like I said, this is the really truly the only way to train and really get your. It's different when you're doing one station as opposed to multiple stations. But
Brock trained me.
We did have a not my best work. We did have a question of what if I didn't say something like that, she'd think something was wrong. We did have a question of what's our go-to IPAs. And that's a loaded question. Because there's a go-to.
You do a really good job picking out different beers. I don't remember the last time you picked out one that wasn't yummy.
Yeah. Well.
Jason is he's
and
not.
I'll give you credit. Jason doesn't know anything about beer. I'll give you credit. You've turned me on to the
hazies.
The Sierra Nevada hazy is not bad.
It's a good beer.
Now I found another Sierra hazy. It's different, so I'm going to bring you one in.
Okay.
But so the Sierra Nevada hazy is an everyday go-to. Like I think that's an everyday beer.
That's
a lot of what I get that we'll drink together are like small batch, small breweries.
I like Hitchhiker.
Hitchhiker's really good. 11th Hour has some really good
I'm
sours.
not familiar with that.
She's had it.
Have I?
Yes.
That was good. Right, that was good.
if I can give any of these breweries that want to send me free beer, but locally in Pittsburgh,
You can do that on your page. How
Four
about that?
Points, 4 Points Brewery, I think has some of the best beer around. But
Isn't that Greensburg?
no, I believe it's Cannonsburg.
Is it?
And Gettysburg has a great one. If you can find it locally, good luck. But Fourscore has great beers. Hitchhiker, Dancing Gnome.
Do you have any paint thinner at home?
I don't know. Why? What'd you spill?
I was painting, which is why I feel like I have the cold.
Oh, do you have something on you then? Did you spill paint like I spilled caulking? How? Oh, no. Didn't I get criticized?
Here's the difference between you and me. You get caulking on you, how it lands on your shoulder, I'll never know. And then you go,
because I was caulking something this way.
Oh.
Above my head.
Do you hear a little of that snottiness?
I thought you were asking if you drink paint thinner because we're talking about beer.
No, I have a couple dribble drabbles on my pants from the.
Ew. All right, here we go.
I hate you.
Uh-huh.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, your source for common sense conservatism. Every single day you can depend on us. Rain, sleet, shine. We are here, of course, cutting through the crap and giving you the information you need. You know, one of the things, not just the Nobel laureates in economics, not just that I glommed onto in recent weeks, that Joe Biden and the administration has tried to push. But this fumbling of this idea of inflation, this notion that the very palpable things that you're experiencing, the heck that I'm experiencing every single day, going out and buying goods and services, the inconvenience, waiting for things to come, the stupid story I share soundbite for you. It's George Stephanopoulos. And one of the things that gets me is that he never pushes back. He doesn't push back on anybody who says, you know what? The problem isn't really the economy, it's COVID. People are afraid to go outside. They're afraid to be in public. They don't want to be with each other. BS is what I say. And so I want to play the sound for you right now. Brock, this is going to be Stephanopoulos number one. He's talking with Brian Deese, who's a National Economic Council director. I want you to listen to the total BS answer when asked by Stephanopoulos, well, wait a minute, how do we solve the problem that everybody's feeling in the short term? Go.
And getting right to work in implementing this historic infrastructure bill. On Monday, the president will sign this bill into law. It's the first time that a president is actually delivering on a bipartisan infrastructure bill. And while a number of those pieces will be longer term, there are things that will go into effect right away to try to get money out to help, for example, upgrade our ports, upgrade our airports, upgrade our roads. We're going to work without delay to get that money working for the American people.
So what can Americans expect in the short term? Is inflation going to get worse before it gets better? Is there anything President Biden can do in the short term?
We're focused on how to address this in the short term and the medium term, George. In the short term, number one, we have to finish the job on COVID. We know that the more that people feel comfortable getting out into the economy, going to movies rather than buying a television at home, working in the workplace, the more we can return a sense of normalcy to our economy. Getting those shots out for 5 to 11-year-olds is going to provide a lot of comfort to American families. We're making a lot of progress on that front.
So think about this. This guy, who is the director of the National Economic Council, says the short-term solution to deal with inflation is to vaccinate 5 to 11-year-olds. Have you heard anything more dangerous, more ridiculous, and less data proven in your life? In fact, we were doing a little research, and I just have to find my research for you. I started doing some digging. Wow, this must be really serious. If the director of the National Economic Council says the number one objective in order for us to get some short-term effects easing from inflation is to vaccinate children, a lot of kids got to really be dying. This has got to be more serious than we've talked about, ladies and gentlemen. I must have been dropping the ball. Well, no, in fact, no. No, not at all. So according to the CDC's COVID data tracker, COVID deaths between the ages of 0 and 4, mind you, 95% had on average 4 other comorbidities. Between the ages of 0 and 4, 288 across the United States. Between the ages of 5 and 11, 191 kids have died from COVID, according to the CDC. Between the ages of 12 and 15, 225, and 16 to 17, 207. So children in the United States, a group that represents 73 million people, there have been 739 deaths from COVID. That is 0.0001% of the children in this country, my friends. 0.0001%. And this guy believes vaccinating children is the number one thing for us to do. Look, I don't know if they're trying too hard, or if we're too smart, or if we're too tired of being lied to. But rolling out more vaccines that Fauci himself said yesterday aren't working, that he admitted the only solution, because these vaccines are not keeping people from getting infected. They're not preventing people from getting hospitalized. They're not preventing people from dying. His takeaway, the only thing left to do is to make sure people get booster shots. So more shots for you, more jabs. The minute you roll up your child's sleeve, they're going to be in line for a booster. Are you down with that? Do you think that's going to help you afford your gas? Is that going to make your chicken wings more affordable when you go out to buy them? How about your milk? You've been looking at that? Brian Deese? Pretty sure you haven't. And this is going to bring me to this segment. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. I was remiss in doing this at the end of the last hour. I wanted to open up the phones to you. And the number is 833-WBR show. On the one hand, I want to ask you, how are you feeling this? How is this inflation affecting you? Are you, as NBC's business expert Stephanie Rule said yesterday, are you guys really squirreling away all sorts of money? You guys are good to go. This isn't impacting you. Or is it impacting you every single day that you go out to fill up or buy food? 833-WBR show. Then, secondarily, since these economic council director sorts and chief, Nobel laureates in economics can't seem to solve the problem, what is the solution? They can't answer it. What is the solution? 833-WBR show. Please join in the conversation. This is a great opportunity for me to tell you about my friend Tom Yakupin. He is, yes, he's an insurance expert because he's been doing this forever and ever and ever. But if you're a gig worker or you're a small business owner and you want to make sure your employees are covered, or your plan isn't working quite well for you, where do you go? Who do you talk to? Well, you talk to Tom Yakupin. He represents New Era Health Plans. He tells me, he says, Wendy, legitimately, I can save most people 25 to 50%, oftentimes even more, on their premiums, their copays, their deductibles. I can do this because I've been doing it for so many years. All you have to do is check them out. Videos online, great for you to watch. NewEraHealthPlans.com. Go there to learn more or call this number, 724-230-4500. Call him today, Tom Yakupin. When we come back, I love if the lines are hot. We're going to take your phone calls. We're going to see what you guys are thinking. Are you feeling what they're telling you you're really not? This is not a big deal, they tell us. It's a good thing. People are buying more. Or is that just more smokescreen BS? You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. Don't go anywhere. Wow. That was stressful.
Okay, I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm going to give her a compliment. You ready? Are you ready?
Okay.
This isn't going to hurt your feelings. Wendy is a true pro. I will give you credit. Your phone just stopped. And when your phone stopped, which leads me to a tangent of we need to get a company phone that nobody has the number to. But the fact that you did a radio show while fixing my mistake of not putting the right camera on because we were just throwing it together, but not losing train of thought.
Oh, I lost train of thought.
No, you didn't.
I lost train of thought.
It
was Newsmax. Newsmax called. I'm like, why are you calling me? I've got a radio show.
Well, we better not talk about that. But no, kudos to you. And that's one of those issues that happens not that often, and you can't reinvent that. So, but kudos. That was, sorry I played the wrong soundbite, but at least the sound bites gave you a chance to.
Oh, I had to go to something.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in what you guys think, though. How is this impacting you? It's impacting me.
It's impacting me.
Literally, Brock has said, I've never worried before about home heating costs, and I'm worrying about it now. Right? I get it. And you don't have to live in a palatial estate to have a really high heating bill.
You may hold up your sticker, by the way.
No, it's all right.
No, hold up your sticker. All the times you hold up the sticker that you don't deserve to hold up the sticker.
Wow, I always deserve to
Backhanded.
say, I'm fabulous. Ugh. Blech.
Or you said who called. Is that public knowledge now?
No, they often call and want me to hop on a show or whatever. Unless you'd like to step in the excrement pie that you just laid.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Oops.
Jackass. Why is every man in my life just weird?
Wow.
Weird. Jason, you're pretty good.
Oh, thanks.
I'll keep you. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I really want to dial into what you guys are feeling. I know how I feel. I know how Brock feels. I want to get out to Mike in Chicago. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio program. How are you, sir?
Wendy, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great.
I enjoy your show. Pretty much listen every day. It's my only source of information. You're a blessing.
Thank you.
To answer your question, living right downtown Chicago, the impact is pretty serious across the board. Gas prices have held pretty steady in the city, but I bought a ham at Christmas for a party at a big store called Costco, and it was $7. And I went back at Halloween, had another party for Halloween. I bought the same ham for $30.
What?
That's when it kind of 30. The Costco brand, same exact ham.
Wow.
But when you just told me something right now, I just had to get on my hands and knees and look for my jaw that fell off when you said something. So the guy that was on giving the stats around the additional boosters and so forth, Dr. Death says really the only thing left. We played every card in the deck. We looked under every cushion for change. The only thing really left that's going to maybe push the needle in the right direction is booster shots. That's his answer for what's left.
Yes. It's going to be never-ending booster shots because it's a never-ending revenue stream.
That's just a steel-toed boot to the groin. Don't you agree?
Well said, sir. 100% correct. And here's another thing, which you bring up an excellent point, Mike. So why is it that you cannot in the United States of America find certain therapeutics that we know dramatically reduce the time that you suffer from COVID should you be impacted? Why can't you find those here? But you can find them in India. You can find them in Egypt. You can find them in the UK. You cannot find them here in the United States. There is no money in you being well, period. I've said this a million times. You know it's true. Mike, I love the call. Thank you for placing. Let's get out to Rebecca in Indiana. We're talking inflation. Has it really affected you? I'm going to go with yes. Rebecca, what do you say?
Absolutely. My household normally hosts Thanksgiving for our family. And this year, with the cost of groceries, my husband is about to lose his job because he's not getting the shot. So our economy, our personal economy here in this house, is going to take a huge hit. So as we've always hosted, we're doing pasta and soup for Thanksgiving.
I mean, literally. And Rebecca, I remember feeling this about 3 months ago when I was trying to fill up my car at Sam's Club and there were 8 people in line in front of me. I was like, this is the 1970s all over again. This is real. And when you have to go to the carbs, when you have to go to pasta to feed the family at Thanksgiving, what did we have? We had that one CNN story where the father of 8,
he talked about going to rice
and beans. This isn't a joke. Rebecca,
No, it's really not.
And I'm so sorry to hear about the job situation. You are so not alone. But man, I would rather go down free than be pinned down to do something that I'm not down with. So I just said down like 17 times in one sentence, but you know what I'm talking about. Thanks for the call, love. Michael's in Pittsburgh. Hello, Michael. Michael, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you, Wendy?
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice. What do you say?
I say enough with centralizing controls. The belief that they want us to believe that we are just in a critical state and it's all our fault.
This is actually a very salient point because it's always your doing. Nobody's ever guilty of anything. Nobody ever rushed to judgment or made a quick decision that they shouldn't have. No data proved anybody wrong. It's your fault if you don't, right?
Exactly. That's what we're fighting. And I want to thank you guys, you and Brock both, for what you do every day for Pittsburgh and all of America and beyond.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you so very much for listening. It means a lot to me. Rebecca's in Pittsburgh. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Wendy. I love your show, girlfriend. I love it.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you.
I'm calling because I'm 29 divorced female, and it cost me $600 this month alone to feed me, my boyfriend, 2 cats, and a dog.
What is it normally? Because that sounds pretty good to me. You know, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I like that. What's it right? What's it normally?
This has been going on probably for the last 3 months. I wish it was less. But I've seen so much. I work from home. Thank God, I don't have to drive to work every day. Because gas is like $3.55. So I think that everything is just so much more expensive. I mean, cat food, cat litter. I mean, just that alone usually costs me $50. We're talking $100 now, over $100.
Holy cow!
It's ridiculous. And then you talk about your heating bill. I have my house right now at 65 because I am so scared.
Well, no, and I you know, we giggle with it because it's nerve-wracking. You know, a lot of us have never been in this situation because if you go to work and you work hard, you should have the money to pay your bills, to stay warm, to feed your family, to drive to your job. You know, not to mention the crazy, hey, you guys want to go out and grab a burger and a beer? I mean, the ambivalence of this administration is despicable to me. More of your calls. I'm interested in what you think in America. What are you experiencing where you live? Is inflation happening where you are? Give me an example because they're not listening to us. I will. 833 WBR show. You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
I was at Costco yesterday, and you know, and maybe it was just the Costco I was at, but the meat section there wasn't a lot there. Usually the meat's flowing over, so I don't know if that's just a reflection of where the Costco I was at. But I even noticed some of their shelves were just not as full as they used to be. But that could, I mean, I don't know. That could just be the Costco I was at. And I know too, people talking about prices. I didn't even get that much food that I thought yesterday, and it was over $200, and that's just me and my wife. I was saying my trip to Costco yesterday, that little bit I bought was $200. But yeah.
I'd rejoice if that was my bill.
Well, there's two of us.
No, I know. I get it. I'm really excited to share with you guys my new sponsor, Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. If you live in southwestern Pennsylvania, this is a great business. And I had such a wonderful time talking to one of the owners of Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. You know, it is that time of year again to start the fire, to get snuggly with your family, to share time inside. And you want to make sure that you're doing so safely. When was the last time you had your chimney and all of its components inspected by somebody who's obviously certified and knows what they're doing? These are the guys at Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. They've been in business for almost 35 years here in Pittsburgh. Their certified chimney sweeps will clean your chimney. They'll conduct a thorough inspection and expertly put in a new liner. I remember when we needed a new liner. You want somebody you can depend on, somebody you can trust, and that's Piccadilly Chimney. Each chimney sweep has passed the rigorous Chimney Safety Institute of America chimney sweep certification process. You don't want somebody who's cut corners when it's something as important as keeping your home safe and warm. So get in touch with them. Don't just pick any chimney sweep, Piccadilly. Go to piccadillychimney.com, call 412-221-0196. piccadillychimney.com. It's one of those services you don't think about until you need it and you're like, oh snap, who do I call? Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. I'd love my headache to go away.
I can, but who's going to run the board?
That's pretty good. But
Get out, Jason.
I'm really happy to hear what people have to say here because I think it's important.
I do too. I think it gives I know how it's affecting me. And like you said, I seriously look at my gas bill and think, you know, like, here, Kate, I bought you an extra sweatshirt. 65 is chilly.
Rebecca in Pittsburgh said 65. Yowza.
Yeah, 65 is a little, even for me, that's a little.
Right.
But I get it.
Right.
I have an old home. New windows, old home.
How old is your house? I wouldn't know. I've never been inside. How old is your house?
1917 it was built.
Wow.
So it's an old home. I mean, I redid it and it's insulated, but it's still.
My man, I've got multiple climate zones in my house.
It's like every other house. Not one wall is square.
Yeah.
You know, after 100 years, things start to break down after 50 years, let alone 100 years, you know? But you seriously wonder about those things. And it's stuff that, you know, there's certain things in this world that you shouldn't have to worry about. Heating your house and having electric and water. These aren't things that should stress you at the end of the day. But and I don't have forced air either, so that's another thing for me. I am curious, though, like you said, that you want to hear. I'm curious what people are mostly concerned about. It sounds like gas in food.
Holy cow, staying warm and fed?
I mean, gas is driving.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yeah, right? Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. And, I thought it's not really the most novel idea, but I think it's appropriate to talk to real Americans. This administration is not listening. They're not paying attention. They don't hear what we're saying. Inflation is happening and it's hurting at the wrong time. And these administration officials just flippantly say, well, 17, Nobel laureates in economics say it'll be good in the long run. Everything will be okay next year about this time. How long can you survive as the government wants to force you to take a vaccination or lose your job as the price of everything that you buy goes sky high? So we're going to take it out to you. Let's get out to Jennifer in Pennsylvania. Jennifer, hello and welcome.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
Hey, I am a single mom, and I'm struggling, and the cost of my school a month has gone up $200. Last year, I was paying like $2.19 a gallon, and now the cheapest I can get it is like $3.47, and my cost has gone up $200. And I'm willing to pay budget as it is, and to say, oh yeah, you have to pay an extra $200 a month in gas is not tenable for me. I mean, how do I feed my kids? How do I put a roof over our head if I'm having to pay more in gas?
Well, according to the administration, all we have to do is make sure kids 5 through 11 are vaccinated, and that will solve everything.
Yeah, that's great. That doesn't help me at all. I mean, my son thankfully goes to a private school that did not require masks last year, did not require masks this year, and I highly doubt they're going to require the jab, which I can't say the same for me in my new job. They're telling us now, because of the mandate now, we have to get the vaccination. If we don't, we have to get weekly testing. We have to wear an N95 mask.
Oh, gosh. What are we doing? They're so out of touch that every single turn we take, everything is so wrong. And I think it's built by design. It's supposed to be. But Jennifer, I understand, and I'm sorry. I get what you're saying. I appreciate your call. Tanya's in Michigan. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, Wendy. How are you?
I'm okay. What's going on in your inflation front? You feeling it?
Oh, heck yeah. To help ease the cost of heating in the winter, we also have a fireplace and a wood stove. And generally, it used to cost us around $150, give or take, for a cord of wood. You're lucky if you can find it for $250 now. It's like $300 and up. Same with fire bricks. These are special bricks that go inside a wood stove. They're 1 1/4 inch thick, 4 by 7 inches. They used to cost me $1.29. Now they're $3.
Wow. So even if you try to do a workaround for the workaround and you don't pay the high cost of heating your house with forced air and you use that, you still get hosed.
Yeah. So explain to me how vaccinating kids is going to lower the price of wood and bricks.
Well, thank you very much. And then thank you also to George Stephanopoulos for not pushing back and saying, excuse me, sir, are you out of your ever-loving mind? Because that's how I would have responded to that. Right? I mean, right?
Right.
And you would have been on the couch going, right on. Tanya, thank you for a call. I appreciate your time, hon. 833 WBR show. Where do you live? How is this impacting you? Inflation, supply chain stuff. They're not listening. I want to hear what you say. Todd's in Latrobe. Hi, Todd. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hey, Wendy. I'm glad you're here in Pittsburgh because we love you out here in Latrobe. Here's the thing about me is I operate an organic dairy farm. And you mentioned about the price of milk in the store and all the meat and stuff. Let me just remind consumers that the farmers are not getting that money.
Right.
Because the milk price for the farmers has been stagnant for the past years.
Wow.
And we have not received any increase in our product that we ship out to the market. It all goes to the middlemen.
Who are what? Who are these middlemen?
The processors, anybody else who has their hands on getting milk to the store. The retail stores like Giant Eagle and Walmart, every time we look, they take a bigger cut of that milk price.
You know, I don't understand how farmers, whether they're like you in the organic milk business or they're cattle farmers or whatever, how long have you guys gotten screwed by people all taking bites of your pie?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. But on the flip side, we need to use this problem as a learning lesson because, to go back as an example, when I was back in high school, I did a research paper on Abraham Lincoln. And one quote that stuck with me was Abraham Lincoln said, "You destroy the cities, you can rebuild them with the help of the farms. You destroy the farms, you destroy the cities."
Facts. I don't disagree with you. Sam, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm going to hop over to a couple more calls, love, but thank you for taking the time to call. You're right. You're absolutely right. Let's get out to Sam in Pennsylvania. Hi, Sam. Welcome.
Hi, Wendy. How you doing?
Great.
Yeah, this whole inflation thing, that along with the jabs, my wife, who works in mental health, has to resign her position because of the some kind of Medicare omnibus vaccination rule that basically was the same exact thing that the Fifth Circuit Court threw out. But it doesn't count because it's Medicaid and Medicare.
Now we've been hearing a little bit about this. And it's tough for me to wrap my mind around, but you're not the only call I've gotten about this. But do you really think it behooves your wife to resign? Shouldn't she be forced out? Because I think if you resign, if you have any future action against your employer, and I think so many people will, you really need to show that you were put against the wall with the proverbial gun to your head.
Oh, I know. And I actually brought that up to her. She's actually writing a forced resignation letter.
What?
Now, unfortunately for most, it's called a forced resignation letter, in which you actually state the reasons why you're being pushed to resign.
I would absolutely not sign that. I would not give them any paper trail whatsoever. I would force them to fire me. Why should I have to defend my right to work, to be free, to decide for myself? In fact, you bring up an excellent point, Sam, and I want to thank you for the call. I'm going to play some Fauci out of the next break, okay? I want you to hear this man, who I believe is the biggest danger to society, say it's people believing their individual freedom supersedes their obligation to the society in general. What an absolutely un-American point of view. And that's exactly what your wife is going through. It makes me sick. Let's get out to Tim in Altoona. Hi, Tim. Welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio Show.
Good morning, Wendy. Wendy, have you seen the video clip with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on Carlson's show? I believe it was last evening.
I have not, though. I've had lots of people tell me I need to check it out.
Yes, I sent a link to it to your email there.
Thank you.
But he breaks it down completely about how much money Fauci makes every time a shot is issued, because Fauci is in on this, this Moderna and all mRNA stuff, and it's all there, as to what his motives are, and it's strictly cash, as you say. Always follow the money, and you'll find the source. Now, my wife and I have both had COVID. We got tested for the antibodies. We both have it. Now, that used to be the gold standard, correct? I mean, if you've already been through it.
Right on, until you couldn't make any money for Fauci, right?
Right, until they determined there was no money, because they used to take blood from people, didn't they?
Right.
And extract the antibodies and use that as immunotherapy.
Good memory.
But now, now that's worthless because there's no money for Fauci.
I think it's absolutely obvious. And we've said this from the get-go. And I love the call. Tim, I will check that out for sure. Thank you for the reminder and for the email. Another Tim, this one in Michigan. Hello, sir. Welcome. Hi, Tim. Are you there?
Oh, hey, sorry. I was busy listening to you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. What's going on?
Well, I want to get a little off the topic. In Michigan, we have the Department of Natural Resources. It's like, the game wardens.
Sure.
And they sent out the thing where you could apply for getting roadkill. What I'm most worried about is the older people, the ones with all the animals and stuff, and they can't afford the cat food. I encourage everybody to get a hold of your game wardens who can't afford the cat food or your pet food and see if they have the roadkill permit.
I totally have never even thought about that. That sounds desperate, and I'm sure there is desperation out there that could benefit from that. I appreciate that. Alice is in Pennsylvania. Hello, Alice. Welcome.
Hi, it's Wendy.
Hi.
I live on Social Security, and I eat with propane, and of course I go to the grocery store, and I just can't make it.
Tell me about that.
I don't know what the propane's going to go up to. I called them. I'm starting to send money to them to put on my bill. But had I known that, I would have done it in the summertime. So I'm just trying to survive just like everybody else.
So now you're concerned about your ability to stay warm this winter?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. So I'm thinking about, I have two heaters. They don't blow air, but they just heat the air. And I'm going to get another one. And I have a little dog. She doesn't have any fur, and she shivers all the time.
Well, I'm sure then you're really concerned about the passage of the universal pre-K for kids, right? I'm sure that helps your bottom line, doesn't it?
Right. So does the vaccinating the 5 to 12-year-olds.
You just don't know it. It's a big thing for you, and that's what the administration's trying to sell, Alice. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and our thoughts are with you, my love. This is what nobody is doing. Joe Biden shouldn't go to a Ford plant to try to talk about, some plan with automakers to make electric cars. How pie in the sky, out of touch are you? People don't need green energy. They need affordable supplies. They need you to get out of their way. How completely out of touch. This is what your globalist, socialist, redistribution of wealthist people are all about. See, their pie in the sky ideas end up costing you. It's unaffordable. It's unreasonable. It's unusable. But no matter. It's the do-goodery of it all. Isn't it gross? It's absolutely gross. I'd like to thank Dr. Richard Rafferty and his team at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, who saved so many people's lives. I mean, literally, when you find out that Dr. Rafferty's non-surgical intradisc neutrosis can fix your bulging, herniated, or degenerative discs so that you don't feel that tingling down your arm into your fingers, and you don't wince when you bend over, and you can actually garden, and you can pick up your kids and play. That's a life changer. And that is what the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh does. That is what Dr. Rafferty does. He is a gentleman and a patriot. And he's a staunch supporter of this program. So if you know anybody who could benefit from a non-surgical treatment for problems with bulging, herniated, and degenerative discs, call him today, 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. All right, when we come back, I've got more time for more calls. WBR 833 WBR show. You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. Don't go anywhere. Thank you.
And before I take this call, for all you guys out there, I know this for a fact. Hang on till November 30th. Make sure you pay your bill to November 30th. They can't shut your bill off starting December 1st. They can't shut your gas or anything off. So, isn't it sad, though, that needs to be said?
No, what's sad is a woman from Michigan has to call and tell us that there are roadkill provisions that the game warden can accommodate so people can use roadkill to feed their pets.
And there are other things out there too. Like I know in Pennsylvania there's LIHEAP, but
I mean, like,
I know I make the comment that I do worry about that kind of stuff. I am not at that point, and I feel for anyone who is. I can't. When you start deciding between heat and prescriptions and food, it's
and by the
not
way,
America.
That's a perfect segue, and thank you for that. Leading into our next conversation about how many people in Congress are in bed with Big Pharma and how that works out, how they shoot down measures to lower the cost of prescription drugs by opening them up to the marketplace rather than allowing the pharmaceutical industry to have a stranglehold, and then get rewarded. You know, it's holiday time. It's true, and the holidays are gearing up at the battlegrounds. And show me your hobbies. Their hobby shop is loaded with the latest RC cars and trucks, boats, crawlers, and so much more. Grab one for yourself. Maybe go with a gift card for that RC or airsoft enthusiast in your life. And if you want even more excitement, remember the Battlegrounds is ready to host your private birthday party, corporate holiday party, any other celebration you want, from Nerf and airsoft to bow tag and rivals. The activities are endless at the Battlegrounds in Pittsburgh. Don't forget, their hours will be extended throughout the holiday season for more open play sessions, but you got to register on their website at thebattlegroundspa.com. Give them a call, 412-530-2192. And remember, don't just play the game, be the game at the Battlegrounds. All right, I want to get out to you more of your calls here as we wrap up the bottom of the hour. The things that I'm hearing you guys talk about, this is what our administration, these are what these professors at Stanford and Princeton aren't connected to. Everybody else, you know, there's a heartland of this country. The hardworking people that make it happen. And people all over are suffering. It's not excusable. Let's get out to Beth in Ohio. Hello, Beth. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hi, how are you?
Good, Beth. Go ahead.
I just wanted to get it out there for all these people. I know I'm a nurse, and our hospital is now trying to get us to get the vax after they said we could get tested. And there's for somebody on YouTube, her name's Peggy Hall. It's at thehealthyamerican.org, and she's got some really good tips on how to go about the religious restrictions, considering it's our constitutional right. So I just wanted to put that out there so it might help some people. I got my son and my daughter from their colleges. They were able to get an exemption, and I'm now going to try it for myself.
Peggy Hall, thank you for that. I appreciate the tip on that one. You know, I like the community that comes together to share information with each other, and that is this program. So thank you to those of you who do that. Let's get out to Dale in Pittsburgh. Hi, Dale. Welcome.
Yeah, yes, we do. Thanks for taking the call. I, too, I work for the federal government for FEMA, and I'd be ashamed into taking the job. I had requested a religious exception form, and I assumed that they had some policy on this. But what I'm finding out is there is no policy. And some of the questions, the first question, please describe the nature of your objection to the COVID-19 vaccine requirements. It's not that I have objection so much as to the vaccine itself, but it's the rollout. I'm not comfortable with taking the jab, but this is where I stand.
Yeah, and I think it's intriguing too that your employer feels like they are that they should know these very private decisions that you make. That somehow they demand that you share your thought process. How about this? Suck it. That works. Dale, appreciate the call. Trudy is in Pennsylvania. Hi, Trudy. Welcome.
Hi, Wendy. I have a couple questions. I'd like to know about the exempt forms for the vaccine mandate and also the mask mandate.
Yeah, I don't know where I don't know where those are located, so I'm so sorry.
Okay, I have tried reaching Doug Mastriani's office a couple times and no response, hoping to hear from him. And I just wondered where we stood on this. I did hear a previous caller talk about Peggy Hall.
Yes.
But I didn't hear if it was from YouTube or where she said it was
I
from.
believe she said YouTube, Peggy Hall.
The Healthy American.
Okay, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Wendy.
Peggy Hall, the Healthy American, Trudy. Thank you, honey. I appreciate it. I wonder how long the Fauci sound is. Do you have time to play that, or do you think it's too much of a squeeze? Okay. All right, we'll do that on the flip side. We were talking in the stream in the commercial break, and Brock had mentioned, you shouldn't have to choose between heating your house and buying your medicine. And yet this is where a lot of people have been for a lot longer than just now. The vice grip that the pharmaceutical industry has specifically on the United States. We've done the BS board. As a country, we are 4.6% of the global population. But we are charged something like 90% of the drug costs. How is that even possible? Well, it's possible when you have the big pharma lobbying group rewarding members of Congress for either passing or blocking measures that prevent this exceedingly bloated industry, meaning financially rewarded industry, that allow them to continue to enrich themselves and others. I've got some really interesting information. Who's gotten paid, by whom, and why? Wow, don't miss it. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Taken care of all business?
I beg your pardon?
Have we taken care of all the business on the stream?
I don't know. Why?
Yes. Did you talk about the roof?
Ireland's? Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
I really wanted to put this up on the board, but I don't have time.
Cindy, we know you can hear us. We're in a radio commercial break right now. So that's why we stay live
I love when people tell us that because they think they're helping us out, and that's cute.
Jennifer, I don't know what you're asking. You could be put on the resources tab on the app. Talk about it, then do the board later. Put it on. I appreciate that you guys want the information, but at noon we turn it off for a little bit. It's we've had Kat Kamek on the show actually. What's with the bat? A listener had sent it to me, had it made. Becky, I will get to your friend request. Yes, it is. My profile pic is a dog. Was my bestest friend in the world. Hey, Kimberly's back. I don't drink any beer before work, Kimberly. It's nice to know that I can live rent-free in somebody's head. Yeah. How do you find me on Facebook? It's Brock Schneider, and you'll see the profile picture is my old dog. How many Big Mac can you eat in one sitting? I wouldn't. You couldn't force a Big Mac down my throat. Looks like I've eaten plenty in one sitting, but I don't eat that stuff. I only eat the breakfast stuff. I don't really eat fast food. If Kimberly has a crush, Jackie, I don't know, but I'm married. Someone asked if you're upset those pens are taking a beating.
Right?
I'll tell you
I
what,
need new black ones.
You don't understand, like, her and I can talk through the computers, through our live stream stuff. And, usually we check in at night. And you get frustrated, you get angry, you get fussy, as you like to say, with some of the stuff we come across. So we're playing our boy Fauci out of this, or no?
Yes, please.
Okay. We got a minute and a half. I will get to all the friend requests by the end of the day. I'm kind of afraid I have to go buy dog food after the show.
Right?
I normally, what what size hoodie do I wear from the merch? I don't have one. I did not buy one. He said they run big. I like my stuff big, so can I fit an extra large? Yes. Do I ever buy extra large? No. I like to have the ability to grow into my clothes. All right, Wendy.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. I am She. It is great to have you along on this Tuesday. I have to admit, I have absolute and utter disdain. In fact, I would go farther than that and say a sheer palpable loathing of Tony Fauci. I think the man is dirty. I think he's corrupt. I think he's been lying to us. I think he has enriched himself and many, many, many others by creating an environment of fear. His ever-changing goalposts, I believe absolutely nothing that man says. And quite frankly, I believe he should be investigated. He should be put on trial. And it is entirely likely that he could be found guilty for crimes against humanity. Seriously. He's that dirty, in my humble opinion. I want you to hear something. Why Ted Koppel is still doing news is beyond me. Honest to God, he's 1,000 years old. Can you go away? You, Katie Couric, everybody else, beat it. Okay? It's like Congress. After a certain time, nobody cares about you anymore. Stop trying to be relevant and just go and enjoy your life for what is holy. You guys have made millions of dollars. It's got to be all ego-based. Look, when I am a gazillionaire, I love what I do. But there will be a point when I say, you know what? That home on the Gulf coast of Florida with the boat and my husband and a house that's big enough for all 5 of our sons and their families with a little shed for Brock, you know, so we can fish and we can play golf and we can drink beer and we can cook. That to me sounds delightful. And I will do that someday. And I will not cling on to some vestige of relevance. Oh, I really miss the media. No, I'm going to be ready to have my own life, right? Not these people. So Ted Koppel, for some unknown reason, is still doing interviews. He's still an abject zero. And he's talking to Fauci, he looks like he's wearing an ascot. I don't know what the hell he's wearing, but it looks like he's going somewhere, maybe to play polo or something. I don't know. But if you're listening on radio, listen to the dangerous commentary of America's top doctor.
Well, one of the things that to me was most difficult to accept is that we put together a good plan for how we were going to try and dampen down the spread of infection early on, thinking that that was accepted by everybody. And then the next day, the president saying free Michigan, free Virginia. I didn't quite understand what the purpose of that was, except to put this misplaced perception about people's individual right to make a decision that supersedes the societal safety. That, to me, is one of the things that I think went awry in all of this.
Did you ever raise that with President Trump?
You know, I didn't have the opportunity to raise it. I was sort of like shocked, and then I didn't speak to him for some time after that. But it was at that point that I realized that I would have to just get out there myself and say things that clearly were going to be contradictory. I'm not totally sure what the president was referring to. That it was much worse than we're saying it was, that it's not going to go away tomorrow. It's not going to disappear like magic.
You know, it's interesting. Fauci and Ted Koppel together make up 1/7, 1/8 of those Nobel laureates in economics. And they're of the same age, 80, white-haired men. Go away. It's interesting that Fauci says he didn't understand why Trump would tweet out, liberate Virginia, liberate what? Did you see what the tweet said? It said, protect your Second Amendment. Look, a power grab is a power grab, whether it's for your guns. Hell yeah, we're going to take your guns. Thank God Beto O'Rourke is deluded into thinking he could become governor of Texas. Really? Come on. So Fauci says he can't understand why we don't get that our freedom stops when he says it does. That your ability to decide what is best for you ends when he waves that magic wand and tells you that it's your responsibility to make strangers safe in some regard. Even though he's also come out saying, we know that the vaccine doesn't do crap in terms of mitigating or eliminating spread or protecting you from it. Will it prevent you from having bad symptoms or maybe less likely to die or be hospitalized? He said, not even that. So what the hell are we doing? So he's mystified that Trump would say he would tweet about freedom. Well, you know what, Tony? I'm mystified that you and the hacks on the FDA advisory panel, the 17 who unilaterally, unanimously voted to roll out an experimental drug on our children to make our kids guinea pig lab rats, I am absolutely astonished by you. Because according to the CDC, if we follow the science, it doesn't work because there is no science. Because your science sucks. Secondary BS board scribbled it in the break. I think it's relevant because I said it before, but now you can see it if you're watching. Why should we force children to do something that you and I are uncomfortable doing when we know that they don't succumb to COVID? Healthy kids do not die from COVID. They just don't. The CDC's own data shows you this. Bordering on criminal, Dr. Fauci said about Donald Trump, bordering on criminal. That he would suggest to you that you do have freedom. You should exercise your freedom. Don't give it up. That's criminal, says the man who's obviously making a crap ton of money. Source, cdc.gov. How many kids? Look at the data. Between 0 and 4. 288 have died in this country because of COVID. That's statistically 0%. Between the ages of 5 and 11, 191. Statistically 0% of the total COVID deaths. 12 to 15, 225, 0%. It's that negligible. And 16 and 17, 207, 0%. You add all of them up, 739 total children since January of last year. And then you see that little asterisk that takes you to another page that's buried in an embedded link somewhere that you've got to hunt and peck to find. And we found it. That little clause that says 95% of the people who have died from COVID-19 have had on average, 4 other comorbidities. So they're sick. So what's 95% or 5%, I should say, of 739? 36 kids. 36 kids have died in this country in almost 2 years because of COVID. And yet we're going to say that it's incumbent upon us. It's bordering on criminal if you don't do this. What? What? No, what's bordering on criminal is knowingly working with the Wuhan Institute of Virology on something that you lied to Congress repeatedly about. Tony, criminal is purposely, I don't know for a fact, but it sure feels like that, working with China, communist China, and researchers there to do gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses to see if they can be more dangerous than human hosts. Why would anybody want to do that? And then connecting the dots backward to December of 2019, when the federal government and Moderna signed an accord to co-own the coronavirus vaccine offered by Moderna. Why would they do that? We didn't even know about it yet. And why would Dr. Doom say, well, shoot, doesn't look like this vaccine's doing a whole lot. Only solution is now boosters. What's bordering on criminal is that you think we're stupid. Literally, at what point do you enrich yourself enough where the human being inside your dried, dead body that sold its soul to the devil emerges and says, well, I think I've made enough. I think I can walk away from this. Is money that intoxicating that you have to have more, like an addict, to put children in the lab as test subjects of your greed? That's bordering on criminal. That is criminal. Bruce Freshwater and Sierra Experts, they do something I think that's very special, and they give people like me, small business owner, like you perhaps, some peace of mind when it comes to website design and monitoring and backup disaster recovery assistance. You never want to call somebody if the system crashes and have them say, yeah, we're working on it. No, you need it to be fixed before you find out about it. And those people are Sierra Experts. Brock and I have seen them work. These people are exceedingly good at what they do. And regardless of where you live, Bruce is happy to review your website and offer some changes that he and Sierra Experts can make at a price you can afford. He's a veteran. He's a great guy. He's a friend of ours. 412-379-8333. 412-379-8333. SierraExperts.com. All right, so I tend to do this an awful lot. I start bloviating and I get off kilter, and I didn't come back to what I wanted to do. And I promised you, and we will talk about this crazy little thing. You vote my way and I'll pay your pockets to re-election. Kind of a cool little thing going on here between Big Pharma and some members of Congress. We'll detail that, I promise, next on the Wendigo Radio Show. So when Ryan and I went shopping over the weekend, and as I said yesterday, we go to Walmart and then we go to Sam's. He had found some strip steaks. You saw I was making those last night. So he found some strip steaks. I think that's going to be, I think that's probably going to be the last time in a while that we do steaks. Because
you didn't see, you overcooked them.
I did overcook them. But that's not why I'm saying that. It's just, it's getting to be too expensive.
It is.
And could I afford it if I really wanted to? Yes. But is there a principle? I mean, there are millions of Americans that absolutely simply cannot afford. And then there are people who are like, I think my principle is it's not worth it.
There you go. I think that's the point you get to is, could I afford a steak? Yes.
That caller who just said she was going to do Thanksgiving and she was going to do
pasta. I mean, I look at, pasta. Could I afford a steak? Yeah, but the $20 I'm spending on a steak, I'd rather go have dinner with Kate and spend an extra
$10,
$15, like, you know, and have literally two meals.
Right. I don't disagree with you.
I was not invited for the steaks, so I don't. But I heard they were overcooked, so maybe it's a good thing.
I have a crap grill, so if you don't pay attention
Did you cook
to
them
it,
outside?
Mm-hmm. So
wow.
I've been waiting to get a new grill until we hit the lottery and can redo the backyard and put in a backyard kitchen.
You know I have a connection.
Yes, I do know you have a connection. When your basement gets flooded, though, and you have to drop a lot of dough on fixing it.
Maybe that's your Christmas bonus.
Oh, my God.
It's not. I'm not getting you a grill for Christmas.
I want one of those that's kind of built in. If there's a brick thing and it's
you want the whole outdoor living.
Oh, I want the outdoor kitchen. Well, dream big or go home, babe. I mean, like I'm not
getting a she shed.
Come on, that's right. You'll get it. You'll get your own he shed.
I don't know where Kate's staying in the she shed. Might have to be a double-decker she shed.
We'll make it a green roof so it stays nice and cool in that Florida sunshine. So I think one of our favorite websites is opensecrets.org. It's just a great website. It's got so much information regarding lobbying and money spent for this or that. And we started doing some digging into who gets paid what by Big Pharma, which happens to be the largest lobbying arm out there when it comes to elections. So this is the article. It's written on September 17th, and it's entitled, Pharmaceutical Industry Backs Democratic Holdouts on Drug Pricing Plan. You know, it's very interesting that these stories never see the light of day, because I don't care who you are, Republican or Democrat, if you're enriching yourself by screwing Americans, you're no better than Dr. Doom. House Democrats who voted Wednesday against a key provision that would lower prescription drug prices in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation plan received large campaign contributions from pharmaceutical industry PACs and CEOs. Representative Scott Peters from California, Democrat, who co-authored a letter in May with 9 other moderate Democrats, arguing reduced drug prices would hamper research and development of new medicines in the pharmaceutical industry. What is leading the Democratic opposition to the drug pricing provision? This is a typical Democratic argument. It makes no sense. The plan would allow Medicare programs to negotiate lower costs for prescription drugs instead of pharmaceutical companies setting their own prices with little competition. Why? Peters voted against the provision during the bill's markup in the House Energy and Commerce Committee Wednesday and was joined by fellow Democratic reps Kurt Schroeder from Oregon and Kathleen Rice from New York. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs, blah, 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 blah. The internal resistance to the drug pricing plan, which may have reduced revenues for pharmaceutical companies, bing, 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 highlights the growing power of an industry that has increased its political spending over the years. The industry's campaign contributions peaked at $89 million in 2020, with 61% of that money going to Democrats. But House Minority Leader Representative Kevin McCarthy, Republican from California, was the industry's top recipient by a wide margin among House members that cycle, receiving $446,334. Pelosi received $151,000 in that cycle. What? Peters has received consistent financial support from the pharmaceutical industry since he was first elected in 2012. Over his career, pharmaceutical PACs and employees have donated $860,465 to his campaigns, the second most of any industry, according to Open Secrets data. So far in the 2022 election cycle, Peters tops all House members and candidates in contributions from the pharmaceutical industry at $88,550. But wait, it gets better. The day after Peters authored the letter to Pelosi saying we can't pass this provision that would lower pharmaceutical prices for you at home, he received multiple large contributions from the chief executive officers of pharmaceutical companies. Get out. On May 4th, he received a $5,800 contribution from Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, $5,000 from Eli Lilly and Company CEO David Ricks, $2,900 from then CEO of Merck and Company Kenneth Frazier, and $2,900 from Bristol Myers Squibb CEO Giovanni Caforio. The same day, Peters also received $1,000 each from Lori Riley, the chief operating officer for the pharmaceutical trade group PHRMA, and Ann Esposito, a lobbyist for the group. Peters later received $5,000 each from the PACs for Pfizer and Eli Lilly and Company. All told, my rudimentary math skills tells me that is 5, 10, 11, 14, 30, 17, 18, 19, $25,000 in one day he got for his reelection. Of course they don't want term limits. Why would you want term limits? Because once you're elected to Congress, you can be rich. Why is it that there's such a small fragment of the nation in general that are millionaires, and yet half of our Congress is millionaire, is or are millionaires? Why is that? If I vote a certain way, you're going to pay for me to be reelected. I'll never actually have to have a real job. I'll never actually have to pay for insurance. I'll never have to meet payroll. I'll have it made for life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is staggeringly a large share of your United States government. Ground zero in the fight for 2022 are schools. Democrats think they've got that locked and loaded. Really? I'll tell you about this coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Did you snap?
I'm going to.
Do you think the drug companies are just hedging their bets for Kevin McCarthy? That's just gross.
Republican, Democrat, I don't care who you are. You're gross.
One in the same. And they'll get up there and talk about how horrible Nancy Pelosi is, which I think she is. But he's no different. The BS boards are on the Wendy Bell Radio site. Obviously, this one won't be up yet until Jason gets his shizzle together. Get your shizzle together.
Once Twizzlers are a couple weeks old, they're not that easy to chew.
Yeah.
Oh!
Oh, my. Oh, I think I just cut my finger on one. Ow.
What haven't I done? Oh, we have Maxine Waters still. God, she's just such a tool.
If we don't get to her, we don't get to her. But I still have some fresh ones if you want them. People are saying put the Twizzlers in the Ziploc bag. That means we'd have to be thinking ahead.
Wow, we froze. Oh. Ooh, tomorrow's Lib of the Week. Do you have any good ideas?
I will get one. I'm going to have to log out of your StreamYard into mine to see something. So at some point, I'm going to text you and say, hey, I'm logging back in. I need the number.
I'm giving myself jaw pain.
I was thinking the same thing, but I can't stop.
This is where the lady who likes to gripe at me for eating on camera will send me a message. It's so unprofessional. I was up at 3:30.
Or for me.
There's no reason to be up at 3:30 in the morning.
You know what's the worst? It's 3:50.
Right before your alarm goes off, it's the pits. I agree.
Hopefully I can get the phones to work tomorrow off the air. Sandy, you can get chocolate Twizzlers anywhere. Well, anymore. I don't want to say you can get them anywhere because we've had people give them to us and send them to us.
I like pink. Don't I look sassy in pink? Come on. Or as you'd say, come on.
I like how you take a shot at me and then expect me to be nice to you. I gave you one compliment today. I don't want your head getting too big.
You've got to give me more heads up than that. If I've got a Twizzler in my mouth, that is unfair.
You do have a clock in front of you.
I understand that, but it's easier to blame you. So
and on top of that, we have bumper music that you can
I understand. I had to blame you. So just stop. All right, this just in. So that whack job, John Michael Greenberg, that piece of work who allegedly with his dad, Creep Ola, was putting together a dossier, a Google Drive of like 50 parents' names in Scottsdale, Arizona, in the Scottsdale Unified School District, putting together documents, all sorts of gross stuff, photos of these parents and their children, parents who oppose critical race theory. Apparently, Jan Michael Greenberg has been voted out by the school board 4-1. However, this piece of work, this tool sandwich, decides he's going to stick around. He's not going to go. Oh, my. Probably not the fight you want to have, my man, because you're at the true ground zero of the cultural civil war in this country. I found this very interesting. Democrats preparing to fight GOP to be party of the parents in the 2022 midterms. I've got a news flash for you. It's too late. Okay? When you demonize parents, when you call them domestic terrorists, when your school board gurus try to get Joe Biden to mobilize the Department of Justice against parents who attend school board meetings, I'm pretty sure that you are so not the political party of parents. But in a further illustration of how completely woefully out of touch the left is, Democratic Party officials insist they're ready for the debate over education after parental anger at public schools helped Republicans score a string of upset victories in the Virginia elections this month. Democrats say what happened in Virginia was a fluke. There you go again. See, there's your out of touch. That's you saying, I don't really care. We're not really listening to you. This is akin to Fauci calling Trump's moves, talking about freedom, bordering on criminal. You're out of touch, my man. Out of touch. This is this whack job Brian Deese at the National Economic Council saying that the best solution for short-term inflation is vaccinating kids. This is Joe Biden alleging that universal pre-K is more important than what you pay at the pump every day. Really? It's called out of touch. And you're so woefully out of touch. You're going to get slaughtered. Bring it, says Chris Taylor, spokesman for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the campaign arm for House Democrats. Is that really the slogan you want to be sharing when our nation's children hang in the balance, when parents are ticked off, when we fundamentally oppose you deciding to not hang an American flag in your classroom, but instead a gay pride flag, right? That you leftist teachers out there, and you know who you are, who put up posters of communists and socialists as though that is the way we should all, hope to be like. Oh, if only we could be like these people. Really? Bring it, this clown says. You want to have a playground fight? You'll lose, my man, because parents are not going to lose. Period. Now, the Democratic Party, which is the party of riots and mostly peaceful protests, right? You might think you've got this one in the bag. But see, we win with ideas and with strength in numbers and with sheer love of our kids. So bring it. Might not be what you want to be talking about in this vein. Chris Taylor, the spokesman for the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, said Democrats have plenty to say to education-minded voters, including being the party that, quote, safely reopens schools. Wait, what? You're the idiots who shut them down. Yeah, but we opened them back up. Don't you love us now? This is the battered syndrome, right? I'm going to hit you. And then after the fact, I'm going to give you roses and say, I love you. It was for your best interest, right? How many signs are there that you may be in an abusive government? We've gone through this. I did a full board. Go back to the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. BS boards have their own tab. It lives there in infamy. So this clown, this complete jackwagon, is alleging that the Democrat Party is the party that really cares about students because they're the ones that reopened our schools that they shut down. Oh, I get it. Are you the same party that lied about 2 Virginia high school students being raped at school? Or are you the same party that covered it up and didn't report it to the state of... Is that, oh, that's right. That is you, Chris Taylor. Thank you. Democrats are looking to expand that even further, he said, seeking to fund universal preschool and some sort of federal paid family leave program as part of President Biden's $1.75 trillion budget plan. So we're going to raise taxes to pay for programs that really don't do much. Because last time I checked, if children can't read, none of this matters. If children go home to parents who cannot read, none of this matters. So this Democrat Party that claims to be the party of reopening schools and offering you stimulus checks, they're trying to buy people who cannot be purchased. And that is parents. Period. Republicans oppose all of it, he said, when they try to score political points by making our classrooms a political battlefield. Our young people are the ones who lose. In what deluded, wackadoodle world are you living in, my man? Because you know what? You know what parents want and Republicans want? I'll make it very clear for you, because I'm both of those things. We want your politics out. We don't want to talk about critical race theory. We want to talk about civics. We believe in home economics. We believe in language. Speaking a foreign language, getting a grip on that. Don't have to be fluent. It would be great if you could be. We believe in math. We believe in showing your work. We believe that writing the essay to get into college is important and shouldn't be glossed over under the guise of racism. We believe that the SAT has forever been a lousy test. But until something new gets invented, it's sort of the only game we have. Probably better do well at it. We believe that rather than excusing a lack of effort or a lack of ability, which equals a lack of quality education or a lack of parental involvement, we should probably talk more about choice, letting parents take their kids where they want them to be educated. But you're not that party, Scott, Chris, whatever the hell your name is, at all.
We also believe in science, just the real science where there's 2 genders.
Huh.
And
touche.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, we're not against science. Just Anthony Fauci's BS science.
Follow the science. Bryce Smith, the chair of the Democratic Party in Dallas County, Iowa, said the key is to define their education platform before Republicans do it for them. Well, I'm pretty sure you've already defined it. It's pretty clear. If you have to call the FBI to have a chopper with a spotlight overhead of parents going to a school board meeting, you've pretty much already defined your platform. That parents are obstacles to you being able to do what you want to do, and that is to create the next generation of clone troopers. Facts. Quote, it's so easy for Democrats to say we're the party of public education because we've always supported public education and have failed at public education. That was me inserting that. That's not good enough for some voters. That says you're supporting the status quo. And if we learned anything about the last 6 years, it's that they don't want the status quo. How out of touch is every single thing that this party is doing? You're not listening to the people on the street. Where's that man on the street we talked about yesterday? That feeling the pulse of a population, tapping into what's really happening. You know where you do this? In barber shops, in grocery stores. It's not difficult. You just have to care. Our children are not the next political pawn in the Democrats' plan. We know that they've opened the borders so that millions of people who they hope will also be clone troopers gain entrance into this country that you will pay for, that they will receive endless perks that we didn't vote for, that we haven't approved, so that they vote the way so many other Americans are not. That the ground zero of our cultural civil war is the schools. And that school boards are the Democrats' power base, where they control our tax dollars, where they indoctrinate children, and they demonize parents. If that's the battlefield they want to wage some semblance of a struggle on, then I dare say, bring it. I said before Virginia came out for Youngkin, Glenn Youngkin, they poked the wrong bear, and they continue to do so out of touch. More Gains Fitness is a proud supporter of the Wendy Bell Radio Show, and they invite you to visit their 4 locations in Cambria and Somerset County so you can take control of your health. The friendly trained staff at More Gains Fitness believes exercise is the best medicine and that everybody can become the best version of themselves through fitness. This is a veteran-owned company run by husband and wife team for more than 9 years, and they have the experience, the passion, and a deep commitment to making our communities healthier. They have all the equipment and know-how you need to get the results you want. All you need to do is check them out. Easy to do. Go to moregainsfitness.com, MORGAINZ fitness.com. All right, when we come back, I want to take you street level to Kenosha a year ago, August, as we wait a verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Are we going to see a repeat? Because if we do, that's about the worst thing that can happen to the Democratic Party. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
You know, if people watch tomorrow, they're really going to get the inside of what certain music means.
Yes, because your bumper music is specific.
Yes, you're really going to get I was just thinking about that when I hit that.
What is Jason talking to his agent or something? Where's he been?
I think he's on hold with Google.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Still dealing with them.
It's cold in here today. You're not cold?
I got this, like, sheepskin.
No, I like that. Where's that? Have I seen that before?
I just bought it.
Did you?
It's on sale. It's Orvis. Orvis makes good stuff. It's fishing stuff.
Fishing.
Fishing.
It's fishing stuff.
It's so I can go fishing down by the creek.
In your lean-to on the edge of my property? I'll make sure at least has running water.
Well, if I'm going in pots and pans, I'm dumping it in your backyard.
All right, so I want to end with Ducey and Psaki and Kenosha on fire. Have you gotten any updates or seen anything about that?
I have not.
I haven't either.
Here we go. So you want to start with Ducey?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one of the things you'll find out tomorrow with the special music. JD.
John D'Onofrio is the lawyer I trust. In fact, he's my lawyer. I trust him with some of life's most delicate decisions, including creating an estate plan so that you have a roadmap, some peace of mind, so you know where your wealth goes after you pass away. Have you done this? If you haven't, you need somebody you can trust, somebody who's got your best interest at heart, who's got 40 years of experience, who understands the legal maze and all the ins and outs of this. That attorney is my friend, John D'Onofrio. 412-928-2068. Get in touch with him. Make that consultation. You'll be so grateful you did. 412-928-2068. Tell him the Wendy Bell radio program sent you. So I wanted to say this. I found a poll online. I don't put a lot of stock in polls. I think by and large who knows how people are responding to these things, but this is an Iowa poll. And it's a Biden job approval poll. I've never seen one this low. According to the polled Iowa voters, 33% approve of the job Joe Biden's doing compared to 62% who disapprove. That is astonishing. And a 2024 general election poll, if Trump were to win or were to run in 2024, according to this poll, 52% would vote for him, 40% for Biden. I want to know who those 40% are. I mean, are you absolutely out of your mind? I think those numbers are complete garbage. There's not 40 people walking around the United States who are like, you know what? This is outstanding. I am so glad we voted for that man. I feel good. No. Interesting. This was the tweet that we had brought up earlier in the show, as I was talking about in the monologue, how what happens with the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict in Kenosha in specific. That I believe that if it is out of control madness, that it spells doom for the Democratic Party. That is the representation of your Democratic Party then. Because it ain't conservatives out there doing that. It's your leftists. It's your activists. All right? This was the tweet, September 30th, 2020. And this is a picture that he used of Kyle Rittenhouse holding his AR-15 in a campaign ad. This is then presidential candidate Joe Biden. Quote, "There's no other way to put it. The president of the United States refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night. Called Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist. This is the mindset of this alleged president of the United States." So Peter Ducey asked Jen Psaki about that yesterday. And there is no way you can spin your way out of it, Jen Psaki.
And just something tied to an ongoing court case. Why did President Biden suggest that Kyle Rittenhouse on trial in Kenosha is a white supremacist?
So, Peter, what I'm not going to speak to right now is anything about an ongoing trial, nor the president's past comments. What I can reiterate for you is the president's view that we shouldn't have, broadly speaking, vigilantes patrolling our communities with assault weapons. We shouldn't have opportunists corrupting peaceful protests by rioting and burning down the communities they claim to represent anywhere in the country. As you know, closing arguments in this particular case, which I'm not speaking to, I'm just making broad comments about his own view. There's an ongoing trial. We're awaiting a verdict. Beyond that, I'm not going to speak to any individuals or this case.
But the president has spoken to it already. And his mom now, Kyle Rittenhouse's mom, came out saying that the president defamed her son, and that she claims that when the president suggested her son is a white supremacist, he was doing that to win votes. Is that what happened?
I just have nothing more to speak to an ongoing case where the closing arguments were just made. Go ahead.
Yeah, because you got caught. Yeah, because your candidate, who's allegedly the president, got caught. I want you to remember, as we await this young man's verdict, whatever it would be, what was going on the night that he was in Kenosha. And this is street level video. For those of you listening, it is a raging inferno in 5 different locations on the ground. Watch this.
Kenosha, Wisconsin. We are out here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in front of one of several structure fires, this one being an office store on the street. The heat is so intense, we're going to go ahead and we're going to walk back this direction. To my left, you can see we're in front of a car lot, which has been completely vandalized by members. And if you actually want to take a look, over here, the correctional facility, as I showed you in our last video, has been completely engulfed in flames, but structures are not the only targets. As I think it was either a tow truck or a dump truck has been targeted, and it actually exploded a little bit earlier. Lastly, I want to point out as we're out here, just take a look at the heat from this. It's just so intense. It's absolutely incredible as law enforcement continues to state, I guess, doing really nothing. But what can you do when there's a few officers, thousands of protesters, and multiple fires?
He's a citizen's journalist, they said. Mm-hmm. He's wearing a shirt that says Black Lives Matter.
I bet you he is wearing a shirt that I see it too. Wouldn't you be if you didn't want to get shot? Who knows if he's actually supporting of them? I don't know. I happen to think a lot of people have those signs in their yards so that their homes don't get vandalized. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen, as a jury deliberates the fate of an 18-year-old man. That was the view, street level, that I'm sure all of these talking heads, including Joe Biden in September of last year, wasn't taking into account before he wanted to brush with that broad stroke of white supremacy. It is the Holy Trinity, after all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we rocked and rolled it today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your phone calls. And remember, we're here right back at it tomorrow, 9 a.m. So we'll see you then. Until then, peace.